SGC here! So Sherlock Holmes, the first one, came out on Christmas Day last year. And its sequel, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, came out last week. It's been a whole year already. Wow. So sequels are usually a hit or miss. I mean, they can be considered an awesome add-on to the world of the film, such as Terminator 2. That was an awesome film, and it totally way overshot the first one in my opinion. But the third and fourth, not so much. Or sometimes you even have a total miss, such as Iron Man 2. Coincidentally, a sequel with Robert Downey Jr. With Game of Shadows, it's the former, luckily. I mean, Sherlock Holmes is an awesome sequel here. It builds off the first previous film, and it really enlarges the world of Guy Ritchie's Sherlock. This is an awesome sequel, but I would say the pacing would be a bit strange for a standalone film. So I'll say it now here. Watch the first one before you watch this one. I mean, even though some people online are saying that, oh, Game of Shadows can stand on its own, but I think you'll like it even more if you watch the first Sherlock Holmes. And I would wonder, why didn't you watch it last year anyway? I mean, you had a whole year to watch it. So if you haven't, go watch it now. So the synopsis this time around is, the mastermind behind the first film comes back, and he's the central villain this time, James Moriarty. And that's pretty much the plot. He comes back, does some havoc, and Sherlock Holmes has to save the world, sort of thing. This is just another Sherlock adventure, but the relationships from the prior movies really help it make it so much better. So for the cast, you have Robert Downey Jr. who plays Sherlock Holmes. He's pretty much the same, as quirky and as crazy as ever. Jude Law as Watson, Holmes' doctor and sidekick. He's pretty changed here compared to the first one. I mean, he has his wife to care about now, and he's not as gung-ho as adventuring. Rachel McAdams returns as Irene Adler. She's the one that really starts everything up, but she makes a quick exit. We also have returning as Watson's wife, who is played by Kelly Wheeler, and she has more screen time this time around, and it's pretty cool. So that's the returning cast, and everyone else is pretty much new. So we have Jared Harris, who I last saw in Fringe, the TV show. He plays the criminal mastermind who is leveled with Sherlock's intellect. His name? Professor Moriarty. He's an awesome villain. I mean, like, there are some scenes where it's just like, wow, he is totally up to par with Sherlock Holmes. Acting-wise, pretty good. I mean, what can you expect from a villain that's on par with Sherlock Holmes? He has to be good, obviously. Noomi Rapace is Sims, who is a fortune-telling gypsy, who is somehow involved with the plot of Moriarty. I haven't seen anything from her before, but she's known from playing Lisbeth Salander from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series, the Swedish version, of course. And she's also in the upcoming Ridley Scott's Prometheus. She's the main character. So from her acting here, I somewhat look forward to Prometheus. Lastly, you have Stephen Fry, who plays Holmes' brother, Mycroft Holmes. What an awesome name. And he was splendid. They could have ruined him in the trailers, but luckily they didn't include him in the trailers. So for those that have no idea who Mycroft Holmes is just imagine a richer version of Sherlock Holmes and a tad bit nicer, just a tad bit. But in the books he's supposed to be really bad and actually worse than Sherlock Holmes, socially. So there you have it, that's the cast. Here's some nitpicking. The storyline is somewhat confusing, but I sort of understand why it has to be like that. I mean, Holmes never find out what's actually happening, so the audience is just going along with the ride of Holmes not knowing what's happening. Which is very different from the first one, where you would sort of know what's happening with Blackburn, and you know that, oh, he's killing everyone and Holmes is trying to stop him, but it isn't in the case of Game of Shadows. The synopsis is laid out that Moriarty is the bad guy and Holmes is there to stop him. But what is Moriarty really plotting? That's what the film is about. The cinematography here is amazing! The scenes in the forest that you somewhat should see in the trailers is ridiculous and is the gem of the movie in my opinion. Another one is this duel between Holmes and Moriarty. It was just epic. The forest scene was ridiculous in the sense where there were some nice shots and just some techniques that I haven't seen in movies in general before. Like some of the camera angles is just ridiculous. You gotta check it out just for that, for sure. There's a lot of humor in this one too. I think not so much as in like, oh, come on guys, keep on laughing, but there were parts where the entire theater just kept laughing and laughing and laughing, and I was like, this is weird. Theaters don't really laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, but the scene actually called for some laughter. It wasn't getting old. It was just hilarious the first time we saw it to the last time we saw it. So again, despite online reviews saying that you do not really need to watch the first one, I believe it would be much, much better if you did watch the first one. It's all about the relationships between Holmes and Watson. In the first one, it sets up the clause as in why they're like even together, and now that they're sort of separated but they're coming back, you understand the challenges and obstacles that they could be facing in the relationship. Sorry, not relationship, partnership. So yeah, I saw this on a cheap Tuesday, but I would watch it on a full day price and guaranteed Blu-ray purchase. So that's my review of Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. Like it, check it out, and see you Friday. With Game of Thrones... But she makes a quick exit. And she makes a quick exit. Exit.